this research methodology helps all of us to have some outcome at the end of the day. Then after data processing, it is most of the time presented in some or other graphical format. Either bar charts or pie chart or some other chart are used with different kind of colors and some fancy things are used. I think everything you do in research has to have some kind of serious thought. Why? Every bar chart has got some meaning, where it need to be used, every bar chart, where is required to be used. Don't generalize that using some pie chart, some bar chart will give a colorful flavor to your research. And when you draw the findings, some of the times, I request all of you to just like to link all these things in a row and try to see that real research has happened or not. Most of the finding is just expression of percentage, expression of whatever you are presented in a graphical format. It's just conversion into text without using an insight, linkages between two graphs, linkages between two figures, and then coming out with something. So there are 10, 12, 15 findings. After the finding, there is a chapter which is called as recommendations or suggestions. Funnily, I always tell the research student that don't treat this recommendation or suggestion as a well-wisher thoughts. It's a good thought. Increased commission, decreased work timing. These are all thoughts which may not be used by we are all teachers, mostly from the economics or business management area. So for that, we do not have to do the research. Sometimes the researcher says that reduce the timing, increase the salary, increase the wages, and so many other, increase the manpower. I think the company or organization for which we are doing a research, they are well aware of this thing. So if you try to link that my title or the head of that research paper, objective 1, methodology applied to operationalize objective 1, findings, outcome or methodology used from the objective 1, then finding, and then the recommendation can be linked in both ways, starting from objective to finding or from finding to objective. If you try to do it in this way, using a plain paper and try to just rewrite, I think you will understand there is a large mismatch. Some of your recommendations are your observations. They does not have any data backup. I think as a researcher, you have to be a doctor of social science. When we go to the doctor, is a German written or a UK written, whatever doctor is there, if he sees our face and gives us the medicine, will not believe on it. So what he does is, he tries to get the symptoms from you. He tries to understand the symptom from you. He does the analysis in his mind, at his own end, but he doesn't give any medicine with his own analysis. What he does, he sends you for some kind of testing, that blood testing or whatever testing is required to verify whatever he thinks about. So the gap, research gap, is your own thought process based on the literature you have gone through, based on your own ideology. That may not be right or wrong unless until you go for some kind of scientific data collection and testing of data in a scientific manner. If a company, if you go for a blood testing and gives you 100 pages blood report, will it be useful for us? No. So sometimes whatever data you collect is not being purified. We at the university, we find that some of the researchers conduct very small data and they multiply that data with X factor. That I've conducted 20 data and multiplied by, because Excel it is possible. Then I make the data 200. But I think there are scientific tools also which recognizes that it's a multiplication or repetition of data which researchers is doing. So these all things are very, very important. Sometimes we are very hard as far as our mindset is concerned. We are very hard as far as our recommendation is concerned. We have pre-concluded the outcome of our research And I think that hampers the quality of research. My researcher, I have not just displayed my presentation. So don't worry, presentation is not being started. I'm just sharing with all of you. Those who are present here as a teacher and those who are going to be a future teacher, before I start presentation, I have wish for you. If you have any doubt, any question in between, you can raise the hand, unmute yourself and ask. We are here in a dialogue. What this new education policy is now talking about, what was not happening in our education system is the dialogue. There was only monologue. And our own all literature, ancient literature is a dialogue. Mahabharata is a question answer. Ramayana is a question answer. All our literature is a dialogue between Shishya and Guru. So I think it's very important that you should be alert, you should be ready, you should have question, and we can have discussions. But before that, we all are aware that there are types of teaching as a profession. We know that there is a instructor, there is a associate professor, assistant professor, associate professor, professor and senior professor, dean. So many layers or so many levels are there as far as the teaching learning process is concerned, formal is concerned. For me, I think if you go back and see that there is an instructor who gives instruction for the students. Then there is a category which is called as a lecturer who goes and teaches the presentation, give the PowerPoint presentation in the classroom. So it's a one-way communication. Then there is a guru who involves student in the teaching learning process. See, in our all ancient education system, without understanding the quality, integrity of the student, the teacher does not use to teach the student. Today, we are teaching a student just because he's paying the fees, he's available in the classroom, without seeing his capacity to learn, his capacity to apply his knowledge, because education can be bought because he's admitted as a student. So after guru who understands the student, guru who nurtures the student, guru who grooms the student, there is one more category which is called the teacher who peeps into the future. It's called as drashta. A teacher can be a drashta teacher where he can go and see the future of the student. He can see the future of particular area and he teaches the student as a drashta of that subject or drashta of that faculty. So I think we want every teacher who is present here, present teacher or a future teacher who is present in this session, to be a drashta in the future, who understand a student as a human being, who understand the qualities of a student as a human being, who nurtures that student and who knows that what is going to happen in the future. As an economics or a business management teacher, now we are creating a batch of students, maybe 24 or 25 pass out. They are likely to be a workforce which will be available for our community, for our society by 2050 or 2060. So next 25 to 30 years, they will be in the working category. At that time, the knowledge which we are telling him today, knowledge which are passing him today may not remain the same. The skills which are there going to be changed. So we have to see that the mindset of the student should be like that. He should adopt to the changes which are going to be there in the future. So I think that mindset, we have to see that how we look at our research. So I wish all the research who are here to be a researcher, co-researcher, pure researcher, and they should contribute something to the body of knowledge, and they should pass on the journey as formal promotion. In addition to that, they could try to become the drashta who can see the future, who can peep into the future and develop the students according to the requirement of the future skills. The recent survey I was going into was telling that almost 42% of your future present skills are going to be obsolete in next 2 years. So you have to replace them. So knowledge and skill has to be go link in link. So here I'll go with my small presentation. At the end of the presentation, if you have time, I think we'll all have some kind of discussions, and then 1 minute. Ash, are you able to see my slides? Can anybody say?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any doubts so far? I thought it's an evening. First, we have a dialogue with you, and then we'll keep on discussing on the research theme. 3-4 points which we are going to discuss today, I think, is first introduction to the, Renal madam. Yeah. Madam, you have raised the hand. Please go ahead. Unmute yourself. Somebody has raised the hand. Okay. Introduction to the research, types and phases of research, types of research design, and step to develop quality research proposal. I'm working in Pune, Savitribai Phule Pune University as a teacher first, and now as a dean of our Faculty of Commerce and Management in the university. So this is my wish we are type, but I have already wished all of you. I think before we go, I think we need to understand that what is social research. I think the quest to understand the world around us and make the sense of bewildering complexity and diversity of human existence, in addition to finding and deriving meaning from life as old humanity at itself. Indeed, throughout history, philosophers, thinkers, and seers have meditated the world around them and have produced testes about what they found with the flowering of human thought during the time of 18th and 19th century. So why social research is required? I think we are a social animal as a human being, and we must know that what is happening around us and what is going to happen us, what is the impact of changes which are happening in around us, and how it's changing the behavior of the human. The essential difference between social research and scientific is that the former relies on more qualitative methods, whereas the later relies on quantitative methods. Few definitions which I have brought, that the social research is a systematic method of discovering new facts or verifying the old facts, their sequences, their interrelationship, their causal relationship, and the nature laws which governs them. Social research is an inquiry to identify, explore, describe, understand, explain, evaluate, and predict social phenomena involving human behavior. Human is now very complex personality nowadays. You are not aware that earlier you must have seen that the student union or the unions of in Mumbai, you must have seen that Datta Samant and all other things, one leader and 10,000 followers, one leader and 20,000 followers. But now everybody has become ambitious. So it's very difficult to understand the human behavior as an individual, human behavior as a family, human behavior as a society, human behavior as a group, and predict something at the end. And in every sense, I think understanding human being is the most important thing of all social research. You must have think that in finance also, we are now talking about behavioral finance. Why? Because our financial behavior as a human being is different. When we invest something, when we keep our investment in short-term, long-term, when we invest in gold, silver, I think it has like a social fabric. Everybody across the world doesn't invest in shares. Everybody across the world doesn't invest in the gold or metal. So it's a different thing altogether. It's not only depend upon the return on your investment. It depends upon in which society, which area, which age group, which family fabric you are growing, you are there. It depends upon that. I think at Assam, in Maharashtra, in Mumbai, in Delhi, in Tamil Nadu, everybody has a different social fabric. So everybody's social behavior is a different behavior. In a similar way, we need to understand when we are creating a financial product, a loan scheme, or any financial product, I think we need to understand the human behavior of that person, of that community, of that a locality human being, to understand that how they invest, at what frequency they invest, what is their thought process of investing, and so many things for our decision making is very, very important thing. It is implicit in the definition that social research involves the application of scientific method through data collection for understanding, studying, analyzing social life. Upliftment of human being is most important to modify, correct, verify the existing knowledge as a system. Our beliefs are changing now. We know that mobile has become part and parcel of our life and lifestyle now, for our children also. So we need to understand their behavior. Earlier, we used to shout our children not using the mobile at an early age, but because of the pandemic, everybody has encouraged their children to use mobile and in more positive way. Two types of research. Normally, it's a social science and natural science, or pure science. So social science participate in the field experiments, conduct surveys, interviews, employ statistical methods, and follow the quantitative methodology. Means social science is the quantitative as scientific science, same respects. The essential difference is that whereas social research concerns itself with the humanities such as psychology, anthropology, history, art, scientific research, concern itself with the physics, chemistry, biology, and other science-based topics. Further, another difference between social research and scientific research is that former start with a hypothesis that can be proved or disproved, whereas the later start with an empirical and experimental based outcome, such as finding out whether research supports or contradicts the outcome. In other words, social research is all about observing the behavior of the people. Human behavior is not predictable, it's not a machine. Examining the history and historical development, drawing conclusion about the behavior of the individual based on their culture, their ethnicity, and arriving at the theory of human life that offer insight into human condition. So this is about the social science research and natural science research. Social science research is becoming now data-driven. Having said that, in recent years, the social science has become as much as the scientific research in nature. So it can be proved with a large number of scientific data as a science research. So predictability of social science research has been improved because of the scientific tools and data being used for the social research. So that is more important. Almost it is scientific research. That social scientists are increasingly be called to explain the complex modern trends in the society and culture that cannot be explained by theorizing alone. Indeed, in the universities across the world, social scientists are being asked to prove more data for their theories, either to support or to refute their claims. And this data-driven process emerged in response with need of objective measurements that can be used to explain modern life. In other words, social scientists are no longer content to speculate and meditate on the social world, and instead, they are now backing up their claims using sophisticated statistics and numerical methods. So it's a more of a scientific tools being used. 6, understanding hows and whys of human behavior, how human can behave and why he's behaving like that. The scientific method is a flow like ask a question, research existing sources, formulate hypothesis, design and conduct the study, draw conclusion, and report the result. This is graphically represented. Either you can prove in a lab or you can prove in the field, where content analysis, observation method, survey method, and experiment method can be used for the social sciences. This is a flow chart identifying the problem. Now at this stage, that is 1. Here, some of the time we are finalize the outcome of our research. We think that this is a problem without seeing that the problem is really there. And that's why I've requested all of you to find out why and why now. Because sometimes the problem doesn't exist at all. We think that because of some instances, so we have to really go through that literature deeply, really need to understand that the problem really exists, whatever gap we are keeping in our mind for a particular issue or a challenge is really exists, really need to be reviewed. And then second is the reviewing of literature. When I was doing my faculty development program in IIM Ahmedabad, maybe almost 10 years ago, we have a professor who has taken 6 months time for all of us to read the concept, read the literature, and find out the research gap. 6 months. And he says that it's also a short time. Sometimes you need to spend almost a year or more to read, go through all published literature, all published research, not literary magazine, and find out the research gap. So that process 1 and 2 may take a longer time. Sometimes we do the shortcut that literature review is only taken for the reference purpose. Literature review is only taken to just fill up the gap, number of pages. Recently, I've gone through thesis of Mysore University. I'll not say the name, but out of almost 300 pages of thesis, 137 pages were literature review. So I was so worried, and getting that literature, okay, you have abundantly available nowadays with the online thing. If you Google, you will get that literature review readily available for you. But how many pages? Almost more than 1/3 of your research outcome now you are put for the literature review. So that is not the right thing. So I think you must be able to see that how you are looking at whatever literature which is available, either chronologically, either by the best researcher available in the various area, either in your own area, depends upon what is the area which you want to look as a research area. Then setting research question and objectives and hypothesis. This is also very, very important process. Generally, we hide all these process with others. We do not discuss. I think you have a group of more than 100 researchers nowadays. So whatever concept is in your mind related to your research question, research objective, I think content validity is also important. We think that whatever questionnaire we prepared calculate or captures the data which is relevant to the outcome of your research. But that may not be a case. There are chances that may not be capturing in the same way which you have thought of. So content validity is more important. You send that research questionnaire to few of the best researchers, get their feedback, do sample testing, and then go back and check that is whatever you have prepared research question or the tools is right or wrong. Again, hypothesis also. Don't go by the multiplicities of the hypothesis. Don't generalize or make the obvious hypothesis where the answer is very clear. If without research also you can say about the answer. Then choosing the study of the design. That is more important. Normally, people follow standardized thing without going deeper into the study that what kind of data is required, what kind of sampling is required, what kind of tools are required, how you are going to look at this research issue. Is that scientific tools is ready to resolve the problem which you are raised as per the research questions are concerned? We rarely look into that and we go ahead blindly. Deciding upon the sample design. I'm very worried that most of the research paper, most of the thesis which I go through as a person or as a university where almost 8 or 10 people give the presentation of the final viva goes, we find that their sampling methodology, their sampling tools are faulty. They are not scientific. Either random sampling is being used or the sampling method is snowball sampling. So whoever they gets into the way, the sample is connected. So it doesn't reflect the real data, the real number, the real universe which they are going to capture. Then collection of data, I said there are a lot of faults are available. artificial data has been put into that data, or multiplication of data is been done by the researcher. Then processing and analyzing of data, researcher most of the time is not aware about the scientific tools. So he gives that all data to somebody who is there as a statistician, who is there, who is supporting him. And then that person is not understanding about the theme, concept, literature review, earlier literature, what kind of tools are being used by the researcher. If you have to go the 70%, 80% have used the same statistical tool, I think you have to use the same tool. Or if you want to change, you need to justify that why you want to change the tools. What change will happen if you change the research analytical tools at this point of time. Report writing. Again, I have told you that report writing is very generalized. It doesn't reflect, it doesn't connect the data, doesn't connect the expression of data. So I think this research process, everybody has to look into. It is not a time-bound process, because most of the researchers think that I have to complete my research in a particular time in the frame. And most time it doesn't happen. So he become faster. In that process, the quality of research go down. The utility of research go down. My question to all of you that whatever research, if at all you have done so far, what kind of a research outcome has helped a common man, either help a company to change its process or sort out a problem of a human being? I think we are all in the social research need to see that the human challenge, the human problem, the issues which we are going to handle are getting sorted out and solved out in the process of research. So we all have to look into this all thoroughly and try to find out that how we handle this kind of research. This is very important, that post-pandemic research, when we are thinking about, we have appeal all researcher or research center in our university not to do any research, because they have registered students. We have 700 students who are registered under the Faculty of Commerce and Management. Everybody is doing research some or other way. They do not have as a research center any goal. So you as a university or a department or a center of research, I think we need to identify either our research should be focused towards this United Nations sustainability goals, or you can have different goals. But I think everyone from the research center should follow, do the research, social research in some of the area which are of national importance, regional importance, or global importance. So I wish that everybody knows about this. First is our sustainable goals talks about the no poverty. So can you do any social research to find out the status in your own area, in your own locality, in your state or region, that any research can be done? Zero hunger. On one side, we find that the agriculture produce of our agriculture peoples in a particular area of Maharashtra, where there is no return on investment. So they throw away their crop on roads. They just kill their crops because they are depressed. They don't get outcome. Last week, 200 kgs of flour was sent to one market by a agricultural grower. By cutting all the charges, he got 9 rupees 75 paise credited to his account. So 200. And in retail market, the flour sales for 120 rupees to 150 rupees per kg. Just imagine that what happens. So I think we all have to look. On one side, we have excess of crop. On one side, we have excess of food which has been produced where they don't get a price or return of investment as agriculture. On another side, there is a people who are hungry. So I think we need to see this social fabric to understand. Third sustainable goal. I'll not take much time on this, but it's very important that every university, every research center, or every group of researchers should have focus, and you go deeper and deeper. Initially, when I was talking to you, I think it's very important for a teacher What happens when I go through the biodata of the researchers, when I go to the biodata of professor or senior professor, we find that they do research in all areas. Their research is not focused. In 2010, when I visited Harvard University and requested that in my university, if we want to collaborate the research, how we can go ahead. So they have given me 300 pages of book where the micro level research was being done by a teacher for a 8 to 10 years period. We call somebody as an expert in water. We call somebody as an expert in research. We call somebody as an expert in environment. We call somebody expert in social science. This is not the degree which is given by the university or a college or a university grants commission. I think take a small niche topic of your choice. I request all of you to choose from sustainable goals or any other issues of importance from your locality. Every year, write at least minimum one research paper into that topic. Go deeper, have a deep dive every year. So I think down the line, by 2030, every one of you should be recognized as a social researcher in a particular theme, particular niche topic. I think that is a wish for Teachers Day today. Go deeper and deeper. Do a small research. Don't diversify. Sometimes you do in OB, sometimes in finance, sometimes in HR, sometimes in marketing, and so many things. We find that people have done 100 research papers, but nothing connect with each other. I think how people should look at you, how they should recognize you as a researcher. I think everybody should have, rather than a teacher of finance, marketing, economics, HR, and so many things, you have a small identity beyond your teaching, expertise or expert research, going deeper and deeper. You can publish after 4 or 5 years in a particular topic. You can publish a white paper, or a state of Assam, if he wants, or state of West Bengal, or state of Maharashtra, if they want that the state policy for zero hunger, state policy for no poverty. I think if you're doing research for 7 years or more than that on a particular topic, particular theme related to elimination of poverty, I think the state should call you as an expert or chairman of that committee for preparing the policy. I think a lot of policy research is required as per the countries. You can give the deep insight into different aspect of human life. And that is more required as per I am concerned. We are more concerned about what outcome your research brings to the table of a common man, what outcome your research bring to the society as particular, what outcome your research bring for reduction in the cost of production, changes in the systems and process, and help a common human being in the society. I think that is more required as a social research rather than how much citation, how much publication at the end of your career period you have done. If they are not connected with the society, it has not used. In the pandemic, we have all realized that health is wealth. And there are a lot of research is being done related to the COVID-19. But this is also a very important part as for the children health, women health, and so many things are required. Then quality of education. We all are striving here in our country with the education policy, implementation of education policy, and most of you are teachers. Now, what is the issue and challenges before all of us? Why I want you to look into the quality of education. As a country, today we have gross enrollment ratio is 27% only. That means the student in the age group of 18 to 24 who should be there in the university fold education, only 27 of those have access to higher education. Here I'm not talking about the quality of the education. That means that 73% of our youth does not have access to university fold education. When we talk about the quality of education, again, if you go to the CII, FICCI, or whatever your state body for West Bengal and Assam, they must be publishing some data. In our country, 80% student goes to the traditional education, that is BA, BCom, BSc. And 20% student goes and join the professional education, that is engineering, architecture, pharmacy, management program, and so on. What is the outcome of education? Today we are talking about the outcome of education. The student who joined the traditional program, that is BA, BCom, BSc program in a university and completes that program, besides dropout, 95% student who join the traditional program in a university fold education does not possess the required skill to be employable. So shocking. And in professional education, 80% student who are completing the professional education does not possess the required skill to be employable. Now see that we are still at 27%. And the new education policy requests us, they enhance that 27 to 50% in next 10 years time. If you increase that access to education by 50%, I think again we have to look for the quality of higher education. So all researchers who are in field of education, we think that we have so many institutions, so many education, so many publication on paper. I think the outcome of our higher education need to be questioned. And we need to do a lot of study to see that how we can make it affordable, accessible, and the best quality education can reach to the student with some of the tools which can be used as per a new education policy. You can devise, you can research into new kind of vehicles, education vehicles, which can drive this education policy where we can reach the 50% of NEP or GER as per the NEP 2020. The world average is 37%, and our average is 27%. When we are thinking about India as a country of large number of young students are available, 140 million population, what they will do if they are not educated properly, what they will do that it do not have access to higher education. When we are thinking about two things, is Atmanirbhar and Vishwaguru. If you want to become Vishwaguru, with whom we will rely? I think you can do the research in the social science where how you can improve the quality of the education, parameters of education. You all know that our accreditation does not speak about the education. Still, our accreditation is finding about the number of classrooms available, number of laptops available, number of computers available, bandwidths available, and teacher available. They does not speak about the quality of our education. Fifth, I think from local government to the state government to the national government, everybody wants women empowerment. Everybody wants general equality. So a lot of things we have to do to work on all these things. So you can choose your choice. It is only suggestion. Clean water. Now you must be seeing that why it is there. And sanitation. I think we all have more challenges in metro cities about the clean water. Lot of money we invest in the potable water. You must have seen that using tankers or using distillery bottles. So I think can we have affordable water, easy access to clean and neat water, then sanitation. All waste we throw into the rivers and we make them more dirty. In our country, river is called as a holy river, but I think none of the river is now a holy river because all industrial waste, all waste from the household has been thrown or dumped into the river. And I think that is more challenging. So can we make an affordable, easily potable water is available to every household without much consumption, without much investment it's been done. Then the point number 7 is affordable and clean energy. We are worried about the energy because coal energy is not a clean energy. Atomic energy is not a clean energy. They have side effects. So can we do something? Decent work and economic growth. I think, can we have a spread economic growth everywhere? It's not only few cities in the country are economically higher. They have best lifestyle, and few places in our country does not have. Next is industry, innovation, and infrastructure. Every city is having issues related to the traffic jam, problem of clear roads, problem of traffic issues are there. We have thousands of engineering colleges. Nobody has got a beautiful model about the what we can traffic management. We are seeing that in all metro cities, they're coming up with the metros, but none of the city has issue is resolved. So putting more investment and putting multiple channels of transportation is not going to solve the issue. Then we have to relook at our transportation model. Now, Pune, when the roads are there, they have started with the BRT. They have spent thousands and crores rupees for the BRT. It failed. Now they have started with the bus transportation. It failed. They have started with the metro project also. It's almost problems. They're having some issues and challenges related to infrastructure. So all issues are there. Sustainable cities and communities. Climate is a more challenging nowadays. You must be seeing that in Assam, you have these issues of heavy rain. Year after year, we are worried about the heavy rains. We all have to look at the change in climate, how is going to affect the common person, and how we can have affordable housing is a challenge now. Everybody cannot have the house in metro city. So how we can use the affordable housing. So a lot of researchers live below water. I think 75 or 70% of our earth is water. And you all know that water is a basic thing for life. Then life on land, our trees, our nature, our birds, our companions, all these things, peace and justice, strong institution, and partnering for goals. I think these all things are very important. And I'll appeal all of you to kindly help doing research, go deep dive into any of the topic which is aligned. Your research can be aligned with the national goal or the goal of the future. I'll not go to the definition. Social science research is important, especially as a solution derived through social research. Meaning of research, a careful investigation into the, especially through the research fact branch of knowledge degree. Systematized effort to gain new knowledge. Research as an academic activity, the technical sense. These are the definition. To discover answer to the question through the application of scientific procedures. To find out the truth which is hidden and which has not yet been discovered as yet. Research objective can fall into the number of following broad grouping: to gain familiarity with the phenomenon or to achieve new insights into it. Studies with object in a view are termed as exploratory or formulative research studies to show the accurately characteristics of a popular individual situation or a group study with the object in a view are known as descriptive research studies. To determine the frequency in which something occurs or which is associated with something else. To test the hypothesis for the causal relationship between variables. Hypothesis testing study. Types of research. Basic research is a pure or fundamental research. There is no immediate need, but new theories can be added. But this is the higher way of doing research. You do some fundamental contribution in certain areas of research. Exploratory research is generally explore the areas that have got least attention. It is checking the possibility of research in a particular domain or area which is not been explored so far, or explored not in a particular geographical area or not in a particular age group, something like that. Descriptive research is business analysis or social problem research, does not have a control over parameters or variables. The methods of research utilized in a descriptive research are survey method of all kinds, including comparative and co-rational methods. Analytical research is researcher has to use the facts, information already available, but analyze using different tools or connecting with each other with a critical evaluation of material. It uses the existing information to explain a complex phenomena and to perform a critical evaluation. Applied research, it gives immediate solution to a business problem in the form of either case study or a solution. One second. Types of research. Co-relational research focusing on explaining the relationship of association between incidences and variables. Fundamental research is mainly concerned with generalization with formulation. Quantitative research, qualitative research, I think you are seeing that focus group, surveys, participants' comments, observation, and interview method is being utilized. Conceptual research is related to some abstract idea or a theory. It generally used by philosophers and thinkers to develop a new concept or reinterpret the existing one. Empirical research is experimental research, focuses on the field work, and experiments can control the independent variable. Evidence gathered to the experimental are considered by the most of the powerful support possible for testing given hypotheses. Longitudinal research is focused on how certain measurement can change over a period of time without manipulating any variable, as a researcher may examine it. That is before and after. Before what has happened and after what has happened. It may be 10 years duration or 15-year duration. Values have changed. Education system have changed. Impact on certain things are being changed. Priorities are changed. So that is longitudinal research. Simulation research is a laboratory research which takes place in a control lab setting rather than in the field lab. Such includes the chemical experiments or pharmacological research, clinical or digestion research, and historical research. This is the phases in research. Define the research problem, first of all, then review concept and theories, review previous research finding to find out that what is missing, which you want to find out in this research. Formulate the hypothesis, design research, including sample design, collect data, analytical data, testing and interpretation, and completing the report. The phases in research. Formulating research problem. Normally, how you look to it, formulating research problem, extensive literature survey. I think we have already covered that. Development of working hypothesis, what you want to test. That is more important. Preparing of the research design. Then fifth point is determining the sample design, deliberate sampling, multi-stage sampling, probabilistic sampling in that sample, simple random sampling, cluster sampling, stratified sampling, and systematic sampling. I think a lot of problems and issues faced by the researcher in the sampling method itself. Non-probabilistic sampling is the convenience sampling, quota sampling, snowball sampling. I think every sampling method has got certain advantage and disadvantage. So every researcher, before they finalize the sampling method, they have to go back and see that what other researcher in the same area has used and why you want to choose a different kind. It's not be convenient all the time. Sometimes what happens that if you want to take those who met, I think the sample is taken. Those who accept, the sample is considered. It is not the scientific way of finding your sample. So reliability of data goes down if you do not use the scientific research method or scientific data collection method. And collection of data, either by observation, through schedules, you can schedule interviews, you can schedule using Google Form, through the personal interview, mailing your questionnaire to the people randomly again selected, or through you can have telephonic interview with the structured interview. Execution of a project, analysis of data, development of working hypothesis, hypothesis testing, generalization, the interpretation through the data, conclusion on the data, and preparation of the report or thesis or paper. Then qualities of good research. Good research is systematic, creative, no guesses of intuition. I have told you that I have some intuition. I already have some idea of what it should conclude. So most of the time, researcher is having a lot of biases of doing research. So some of the time we find that because of this kind of biases, the quality of research goes down. Good research is logical reasoning, induction and deduction. Good research is empirical, based on the real situation and concrete data backing up, which is available today. And good research is replicable. If you do it twice or thrice, the quality doesn't changes, the importance doesn't changes. So that is more important as far as the good research is concerned. Research design refers to the overall strategy that you choose. I think there is a strategy word is being used. to integrate the different components of the study in coherent with and logical way, thereby ensuring you will effectively address the research problem. It will solve the research problem. It constitutes the blueprint for collection, measurement, and analysis of data. I think the concept should be ready in your mind, why you're taking a particular step and why you're using a particular thing. I think every question would be asked for you. Do not blindly follow the road which is there or an easy path which you wish to take in the research process. The research design should minimize the bias and maximize the reliability of the data collected and the outcome of the study. The design should give least experimental error. So there are scientific tools for everything you wish to check. How a researcher bias can be removed. There are scientific tools. Again, it takes time. Some point of time, as a researcher, some point of time, you must realize that whatever I've done should be thrown out and I should have a fresh look to my research. I think that is more important, that you should not stick because you have done something. You should not stick to something because you have spent some time or energy. I think that is more important. The research design should yield maximum information to provide different aspects of understanding the problem. It should talk about the problem, issues, and challenges. It should capture, if you're talking about the human state, if you're talking about the stress of a person, particularly working in a particular area, I think it must be understood. The questionnaire should be formulated, should fulfill the objective of the study. Types of research design: exploratory, descriptive, and causal. The research design is exploratory research design, conclusive research design, descriptive, causal research, cross-sectional research, longitudinal we have discussed, single cross-section, and multiple cross-section. I think I'll share this PPT with you, so do not spend. Exploratory research in the design. The design to generate the basic knowledge to clarify the relevant uncovered variable associated with the problem, uncover information and define alternative for addressing the objective. A flexible, open-ended process. You're trying to find out something new which is not been found out. So that is what exploratory research. So you have to do a lot of trials and errors while doing it. Correct yourself at a particular point and then change yourself. Descriptive research: who, what, where, and how. I think that question I've asked initially at the starting, designed to provide further insight to the research problem, describing the variable of interest. Can be used for profiling, defining, segmentation, predicting, examination, associative relationship to two variables. Different research design. Research design, in case exploratory research design, the survey of concerning literature, experience survey, analysis of insight stimulating. Research design in case of descriptive and diagnostic research studies, formulating objective of study, designing the method of data collection, selecting the sample, collecting the data, processing and analyzing the data, and reporting the finding. Research design in case of hypothesis testing research studies, the principle of replication, the principle of randomization, generalization, the principle of local control. Important experimental design: before and after without control design, after only with control design, before and after control design. The research approach is observation, hypothesis, patterns, and theory. You can find out the patterns. You can create a model out of your theory. And that model can be tested multiple times to confirm the outcome of your research. This is called as inductive research. And this is called as deductive research. From theory to observation is a deductive research. From observation to theory is an inductive research. This is elements of research process in deductive thinking: theory, hypothesis, observation, and confirmation of your theory is a deductive thinking. Inductive thinking is observation. You have some observation, some patterns which is getting created out of data. Then you derive a hypothesis and then you prepare a theory, which is called a inductive thinking or qualitative research. Research proposal is simply a structured formal document that explains how you plan to do the research. I think it's a pathway or it's a structure or it's a blueprint of your research. The exact structure and format required for the dissertation or thesis research, it depends upon university to university. Every university has certain format of structured research presentation. Purpose of research proposal: the presentation, before some agency, I think UGC or some granting agency, and discussion earlier research paper in similar management question, suggesting data necessary solving management question and how it will be gathered. I think you have to have very much clarity. It gets changed, but you must have clarity before you start actually performance of research. Elements of research proposal. In case of commercial research, these are the things, points which I have created. It's not hard and fast, whatever I have found out just for today's presentation. Evaluation research project. When some research proposal comes to you for any grant or acceptance, I think novelty of problem and indication of research grab, scientific research grab based on the literature available, the design of research, the time availability. Some longitudinal studies are there where the time availability is not possible. You cannot complete longitudinal study in a short span of time. Information requirement and acquisition. Strategic and technical decision, its impact on stakeholders. How it's going to impact the outcome of research, how it's going to impact the stakeholders. This is my mobile number in case you have any query.
Any queries from the participants? Any queries?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please unmute and speak.
Yeah, my question
You are not audible.
like...
You are not audible.
Hello.
Yeah, please.
Am
louder.
I audible? Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, now it's okay.
Yeah. So my question is like, does every research require a hypothesis? And what is the difference between a research objective and a research hypothesis?
Can you repeat? I lost the connection in between for a second.
So my question to you is like, does every research require a hypothesis? And what is the difference between a research objective and a research hypothesis, basically?
Research hypothesis is a real point where you're going to, what you're going to test with using the data, scientific data collection. Research objective is a journey which you are going to plan. There can be research objective to find out something, the research objective to understand the relation between two of your variables. So research objective is a rough idea of how you're going to travel the journey. For operationalizing each research objective, you can have different methods. So method can be different. And from the different method, you can come to different hypotheses. Hypothesis testing is the one part of it, is not the only part of it.
Like if we are like setting our research objectives, then in that case, like, is it required to have a research hypothesis as well? Or research objectives?
Research
are like...
objective is in general, at the end of the research, where you want to arrive. What solution you are seeking from the research or what outcome you wish to have from the research is generally written in the research objective. It starts from your title.
Okay.
But every objective can be tested differently. Different kind of hypothesis or different kind of methodology also. Some can be primary data, secondary data. Some can be cases also can be sorted out. It's not a scientific pure where you do an experiment and then data is there. I think it's very soft thing. Because if I do that, you're going to do a research on stress management. It's not that easy. There are many scientific tools are available which goes closer to the mapping of stress. But you can go still further. There is always, in social research, there is always a scope for betterment. There is always scope to reach to the real goal. So I think social research is, you have to find out where the mentally the existing researcher have reached and find out that one step ahead. That is incremental contribution. Can we make something different with some tools change, some data sampling, scientific method being changed? So I think that is more important to understand.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Any more queries?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, please.
This new education policy is now encouraging the collaborative research. So social research, researcher from various fields, management student, commerce student, engineering student, pharmacy student, and medical student can come together and give some solution to the society, I think. So that is more important. So as a social researcher, we know that, but I think today The pure research and social research are doing combined research. The medical student, because you know that most of the people who have lost their lives, not because of the COVID, but of the threat of the COVID, fear of the COVID, long-term impact of the COVID. So I think that cannot be captured by the doctors. I think that can be captured by the social scientists. You and me can capture that, how to reduce that impact. So we have to work in hand with all of them. Yeah, please. Next.
Sir, am I audible, sir? Good evening,
Yeah,
sir.
please. Yeah, madam.
Sir, you rightly said the difference between social research and scientific research, sir. Actually, in scientific research, n number of publications are coming out in either in Scopus or like SCA indexed journals or Web of Science, like that. But as far as social science is concerned, we are not able to publish that much of paper, at least 1 or 2 papers also in very good journals, sir. Can you tell like why? What is the reason behind that, sir?
Madam, because this research is mechanically driven or experiment driven, most of the pure sciences. So it gets easily capturing. So you have some experiment and outcome of that experiment very clear. If you do 100 times, the same outcome is there. In social research, that flexibility you have to keep in mind. And that's why you cannot have A is equal to B or A is greater than B all the time, because it's related to human beings. So human behavior is changing. Your social fabric is changing. Your priorities are changing. So if you do study today and if you do study after 10 years, it may change. Now this, earlier, the refrigerator was an important part. Now with all this study, they're trying to find out with all Dunzo and this all GeoMart, they want your refrigerator to be thrown away from house. Because every 15 minutes, they're going to give you delivery for whatever you want. So in 10 years down the line, people will be surprised that you have a refrigerator at home. Similar way. So human behavior is also changing. Now we have gone to the online payment, digital payment. It's very easy. The next generation to us, now they're more comfortable. If you tell them that we used to go to the bank and wait for half an hour in a queue for getting a token for money, they will laugh. So the same way, this the premise of all research is changing because of the changes outside, because the priority is changing, the social fabric is changing, society is changing. So social research is not remain forever. It keep on changing. So that's why we have more scope for a particular point of time to publish, to do the research. But my appeal to all of you that it should be connected, aligned with any of the real issues. It should have some outcome to change the human life at the end of the day, rather than publication and citations, because we should not go in a citation race. That's what my belief says.
Yes, sir, it is true, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Any more?
Yeah, excuse me, sir. Could you please elaborate on research questions and research hypothesis connection?
When you go through the literature, you try to find out, there are some questions which comes in your mind, which you need to answer from the data or questionnaire method. That expressions you express in a scientific way, that is called as hypothesis, in simple words. So research question is, if you go through the data, if you try to find out what you're going to capture, data is going to answer to what question? If you are trying to find out that if I am going to correlate that, my work timing is related to my stress level, or my traveling time is in metro cities is correlated to the level of my stress. If my traveling time goes on increasing, my stress level increases. So that you can test with the data at the end of the day. So first you have to find out that what you're going to capture and the relation between two variables. Then using that scientific method, you can find out the data, and then expression of that data, implementation of the data, conversion of the data in scientific way, you can have the outcome or testing of that hypothesis. But first you need, now scientifically, I tell you, there is nowadays, the doctors used to guess and give you a blood pressure pill. maybe after dinner or maybe early in the morning, depends of his expertise. But now, because of the scientific data which doctor can generate, there is a machine available which you have to put in your hand and just take like a purse. For 24 hours, it is attached to you. Every 30 minutes is take your blood pressure. So 24 hours multiplied by 2, they take your 48 blood pressure impressions or data is collected. And that data is scientifically processed by your doctor. And at what point of time you need a medication is clearly given. So that is become more scientific. So in the same way, stress level is also calculated. Your pulse rate is also captured in some machine using some like a clock, smart watch. So 24 hours, your pulse are automatically captured. So when the pulse are varied, when they're disturbed, when they become slow and hard, and then they decide that what is your disturbance level, and then they give when to give you medication. So more scientific data is now available in social sciences also. That's what I was telling.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Sir, it was very interesting session, sir.
Thank you.
We need to learn like how research should be sustainable. And moreover, if we see the chat box, there are lots of appreciation for you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I wish that as a India, which is going to be 1.4 billion people, I think our problems are very large problems, I think. And the social researcher have got a lot of things to do as far as the elevation of problems or challenges are concerned. So I think all of us should work as a common goal. Yeah, as somebody has got.
Yeah, she wants to ask one question. Neha Singh, madam, please. Hopefully, this might be the last question. You are not audible. Okay, she is not audible.
I wish that every teacher who is present today here, in next 7 years, you should be recognized by somebody nationally or statewide as an expert into certain small niche topic. If a state government of Maharashtra has to revamp the labor law, and if I am doing the research on labor law for 7 consecutive years, going deeper, taking deeper dive and publishing it every year, I think they will invite me as an expert. So that is state-wise. I wish that this is beyond theory, beyond the subject you teach, beyond your role as a teacher. I wish on this occasion of Teachers Day that every teacher should be recognized as an expert. हम लोग कहते हैं ना जल तज्ञ है, पर्यावरण तज्ञ है, expert है. This is not somebody given by university, but people perception should talk about every teacher who is present here or a future teacher also, that you are expert in a particular topic and people should invite you for a particular topic. If they want to make some policy, I think they should give you invitation that please come and help us in designing a policy for our state, for our country, for our society, for our nation. I think that is the outcome of research you should look for the future, not for the API calculation and not for the promotion. That maybe incidentally happen in the process of doing research. So my appeal and request to every one of you that do it in more deeper way, more insightful research, that people should come. We have appointed one person in our social science department, just going through her research. She's a very young student. She was done a fantastic research as far as the policy is concerned in the Sindhudurga district in Maharashtra, in a Konkan area. Very nice research outcome, white paper she has published. And based on that, we have given her, and we have given us a coordinator of the policy research paper or policy research department of our university. So I think your research should be a reflection of the depth and knowledge you have. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I request Justina to give the vote of thanks.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yeah, audible and visible.
Okay, sir. So, sir, first of all, my vote of thanks to today's speaker of the first session, Dr. Parag, Dean, Faculty of Commerce and Management, Servitor at Pune University. We are indeed very much thankful for your kind cooperation and giving your valuable time to share your knowledge with the participants. And we indeed have also learned a lot from this session. And as new researchers or for teachers like me, truly it was a great learning experience, which we will be able to apply in a research journey as well. Once again, I would like to express my gratitude to Dr. Parag sir for your valuable and noble lesson. And truly it was an honor for us participants to learn and listen from such an experienced and great professor and take invaluable inputs that will enrich our research experience. Sir has also emphasized that as researchers, we often make the mistake of preparing questionnaires that do not effectively capture the elements. Thankfully, there are standardized scales available that one can always use to achieve operational outcomes of our objectives. And indeed, human behavior is the most difficult to decipher, and it is often unpredictable. That is why social science research is very important in today's context. Thank you, sir, for highlighting the importance of sustainability in terms of no poverty, zero hunger, quality education, affordable and clean, and affordable energy in social science research. In this age of growing uncertainty and climate change, with more shocks and stresses appearing with more intensity every year, research in sustainability is an important aspect as well, so that humans in general can be equipped to sustain now and in the future. Thank you, sir, for highlighting this much needed discussion on the importance of contributing to our work as educators and as teachers and future teachers. Indeed, sir has also highlighted that we all need to learn to understand students as human beings, first of all. And as someone who has the ability to apply these teachings in the future, we indeed have to develop and contribute to the students so that in the future, we are developing students according to the required skills in the future. Thank you, sir, for bringing this pressing matters on today's session, which indeed require more research. We as participants, we feel very grateful and thankful for your insights into many of societal issues, which you have highlighted in today's session. And we as social researchers, we need to take and understand this seriously. We could not have started off the session with a professor of your caliber and experience. Thank you, sir, once again. And also, sir's wish for this Teachers' Day is that by 2030, we all become an expert in our subjects. So hopefully we can aspire to reach that level in the future. And also, my vote of thanks to Dr. Dipjyoti Chaudhary, Senior Assistant Professor, Department of Business Administration, Assam University, coordinator of this online FDP titled Research Methodology and Applied Econometrics for Social Sciences, in collaboration with Vidyasagar University, West Bengal. For this, we have come to the end of the session. We'll be having a short tea break, half an hour. The second session will be on introduction to qualitative and quantitative research. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir, once again.
Thank you, Dipjyoti sir.
Thank you for giving us your precious time. I hope find you in next future opportunities in the department, sir.
Thank you. Thank you. It was a lovely experience to discussion with all of you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So participants, we are again meeting at 6:30 and we'll have the second session. So for this timing, we can have a bio break. Thank you.